One can compare the hip-hop world to the Game of Thrones. Sometimes with all of the anger, backstabbing, and taking sides, it makes you wonder who will survive this week. But no matter how vicious and scathing the rhymes are, many of our favorite MCs survived and became a better artist after a battle. Here's what you can learn from hip-hop's top 5 beefs. Number 5, KRS-One versus MC Shan, The Bridge Wars. In the mid-1980s, the golden era of hip-hop, KRS-One's Boogie Down Productions and MC Shan's Juice Crew had a bitter disagreement about where the origins of hip-hop began. Shan and the Juice Crew claimed Queens, while KRS and Boogie Down touted Bronx. The conflict resulted to the Bridge Wars, where definitive diss tracks were born, such as Shan's The Bridge and KRS-One's South Bronx and The Bridge Is Over. 30 years later, the two MCs are still battling. Though KRS-One retired from the beef, Shan revived it due to the emotional trauma he suffered after the wars. During a phone interview in 2016, Shan voiced that the Bridge Wars never happened and dissed KRS-One in a 3-minute freestyle rap. Of course, KRS-One retaliated with Still Hugging Nut. Lesson: though the origins of hip-hop was never resolved, the Bridge Wars rap battles pushed the hip-hop culture into new boundaries, giving it a voice, a face, and even a name. Number 4, Common versus Westside Connection, Conscious versus Gangsta Perspective. In 1994, frustrated about the state of hip-hop, specifically gangsta rap, Common released I Used to Love Her. This upset Ice Cube and Westside Connection, so they released Westside Slaughterhouse. Common came back with the classic The Bitch and You. Both lyricists ended their feud when they released the collaboration Real People. Common even starred in Barbershop, The Next Cut. Lesson: this beef allowed hip-hop fans to make distinctions between conscious rap and gangsta rap. Without a Common or an Ice Cube, we probably wouldn't have the Kendrick Lamars and J. Cole's making their mark in the hip-hop world. Number 3, EazyE versus Dr. Dre, former bandmate rivalry. Not too long after Ice Cube left NWA and sliced up his former crew with No Vaseline, NWA split. Major tension between Dr. Dre and EazyE led to Dre's special little ode to EazyE with Dre Day. EazyE tussled back with Real Mother G's, where he insulted both Dre and Snoop, and even tried to revoke their hood passes. This beef took place for several years and ended when EazyE died due to complications from HIV. Lesson: this beef gave hip-hop fans a shoe-in on the fragility of working and personal relationships and the impact that it can have on a musician's career. Number 2, Jay-Z versus Nas, title for the King of New York. It is unclear why the Jay-Z and Nas beef began in the first place. The lyrical spar happened at a time when people questioned Nas and his place as a leading hip-hop artist. After the two exchanged subliminal disses on mixtapes and freestyles, they made their battle public with songs like Takeover and Ether.
When you were writing Ether, how much time did you give to that?
I mean, everybody's like, oh, you know, did you do it in one day? You just knocked it out? Nah, I was working on my album and I didn't want to do Ether. I didn't want to even do a record talking about another rapper.
But you felt you had to.
I had to, dog. I really did, because Holmes is a type that likes to kick people when they down and boast and...
Jealous.
Basically. Basically, it was jealousy, man, and he felt he had to solidify his position in the game by knocking me out the game.
But it was an unlikely person who ended the beef: Jay-Z's mom. After the release of Super Ugly, where Hove revealed that he was sleeping with Nas's ex, Carmen Bryan, and left condoms on the baby seat, his mother scolded him. Jay publicly apologized on national radio. The two MCs reconciled their differences and have collaborated on projects and deals since then. Lesson: this proves that if one succeeds, a rap battle can pump life back into a stagnant career. Number 1, Tupac versus Biggie, East Coast-West Coast rivalry. The battle between Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. sparked East Coast versus West Coast rivalry that made its mark as one of the most historical rap beefs of all time. After the release of Biggie's Who Shot Ya, Shakur believed it to be a diss track that made light of him being robbed and shot 5 times in New York. He then released tracks such as Against All Odds, Bomb First, and Hit 'Em Up to express his outrage towards Biggie and the entire Bad Boy record label. Though Biggie never outright retaliated, it was said that he only fought back with subliminal disses. Unfortunately, what is known as the historic rap beef of all time led to the violent deaths of both rappers, ironically both in drive-by shootings. Until this day, both cases are being investigated to confirm if both deaths are in relation to the coastal rap rivalry or gang-related activity. Lesson: this bi-coastal beef foreshadowed the potential outcome of a rap beef gone too far. The hip-hop community has since made more efforts to keep their rap battles on wax, even though the punchlines might throw some pretty vicious blows.